Did you know that one city in the UK has a crime rate 3 times higher than the national average? The most violent crimes aren't happening in London, but in towns you probably never suspected. These aren't just numbers, they're everyday realities for thousands of people living across the country. When we think of crime in the UK, most of us jump straight to the big cities, London, maybe Manchester. But the truth is way more shocking. Some of the most dangerous places in the UK are actually smaller towns, seaside resorts, and university hubs. And the reasons behind it? Poverty, drugs, unemployment, gang culture. The list goes on. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 high-crime cities in the UK based on recent police and government data. But it's not just about the stats. We're diving into the stories, the realities, and the surprises behind each name on the list. Which city has become a hotspot for gang violence? Which one is battling one of the highest burglary rates? And which unexpected place has claimed the #1 spot for most crimes per capita? Stick around. You won't believe which city tops the list. Number 10, Nottingham. Nottingham might be famous for Robin Hood, but modern-day crime here isn't the stuff of folklore. Ranked number 10 on our list, this East Midlands city has one of the highest crime rates per capita in the UK. Over 100 crimes per 1,000 people annually, according to recent police data. What's going on in Nottingham? For starters, it's a vibrant student city, home to 2 major universities. That means a large transient population, busy nightlife, and unfortunately a steady stream of incidents involving theft, assault, and antisocial behavior. In fact, theft from persons and public disorder are particularly common in areas like the city centre, bars, and around. But there's more to it than just student partying. Nottingham has long struggled with pockets of deprivation, especially in neighbourhoods like St Anne's and Bradford. These areas face higher unemployment rates, lower income levels, and issues with drug-related crime and gang activity. While the city has made progress in regeneration and community policing, many residents still feel unsafe, particularly at night. Recent initiatives have tried to tackle the problem, from better street lighting to increased police presence in known trouble spots. Community leaders have also launched youth outreach programs aimed at steering young people away from gangs and towards education and employment. But progress is slow, and the impact isn't yet widespread. What's really surprising is the contrast. You can be walking through a trendy cafe district 1 minute and step into a high-crime zone the next. This dual teetering between its reputation as a youthful modern hub and its challenges with urban crime. So why is Nottingham not higher on the list? Because while its numbers are serious, other cities show even more intense patterns of violence, organised crime and social unrest. And if you think Nottingham's crime rate is bad, just wait till you hear who's number 1. Number 9, Sheffield. Sheffield may be known as the Steel City, but some of its neighbourhoods have been hardened by more than just industry. Ranked number 9 on our list, Sheffield has seen a sharp rise in crime over recent years, especially in categories like antisocial behaviour, theft, and knife-related incidents. What makes this city stand out? Unlike some of the others on this list, Sheffield doesn't have one notorious area. Instead, crime is more evenly spread. From the city centre to quieter residential suburbs, reports of vehicle break-ins, street harassment, and petty theft. But the real concern is the increase in knife crime, especially among young people, a troubling trend that's echoed in cities across the UK. Part of the issue lies in economic decline. Once a booming industrial hub, Sheffield still bears the scars of lost manufacturing jobs. In areas like Burngreave and Page Hall, unemployment and poverty have made it harder for communities to recover, creating an environment where crime can take root. Combine that with underfunded youth programs and limited police visibility, and you've got a recipe for social tension. Despite this, Sheffield remains a proud, resilient city. Local organisations are working hard to reclaim streets, provide safe spaces for teens, and bridge community divides. But many residents will tell you progress is slow and trust in safety is still being rebuilt. Sheffield might not be the widespread issues and growing concerns earn it a spot in the top 10. Think Sheffield deserves to be this high on the list? Or do you think another city should have taken this spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next cities. You won't believe who's coming up. Number 8. Bristol. Bristol is a city of contrasts. On one hand, you've got colourful street art, bustling harbourside cafes, and a strong green energy movement. But scratch beneath the surface and there's a darker story unfolding, one that's earned Bristol its spot at number 8 on this list. Crime here isn't just about numbers, it's about patterns. And in Bristol, those patterns are deeply woven into the city's social fabric. A high number of drug offences, particularly involving heroin and crack cocaine, concerns. These aren't isolated incidents either. Police reports consistently flag Easton, St. Paul's and parts of Southmead as persistent trouble zones. What's fueling this? A mix of gentrification clashing with long-standing poverty. As trendy coffee shops move in, rents go up, but support systems don't always follow. That tension breeds resentment, and sometimes violence. Add to that a thriving nightlife scene in the city centre, and you get spikes in violent assaults, especially on weekends. Even more worrying is the rise in hate crimes and racial tensions reported in recent years, shaking Bristol's image as a progressive, inclusive city. Locals say the sense of community still exists, but it's under pressure. You also can't ignore the role of organised crime. County lines drug trafficking has infiltrated Bristol's outskirts, pulling vulnerable teens into a dangerous cycle of debt, violence and fear. Local charities are trying to intervene, but the resources are... This isn't to say Bristol is broken. Far from it. But the crime here has a different flavour, less about territory or gangs, and more about inequality, addiction, and cultural friction. It's complex, messy, human. It's not always visible on a postcard, but it's real, and it's affecting the people who live here every single day. Number 7. Birmingham. Birmingham isn't just the UK's second largest city, it's also one of the most complex when it comes to crime. With over 1 million residents, a diverse cultural mix, and a rich industrial past, Birmingham is bursting with energy. But that energy sometimes spills into violence, theft, and urban unrest, earning it the number 7 spot on our list. One of the most concerning issues here is violent crime. According to West Midlands Police, Birmingham consistently ranks among the top cities in England for stabbings, assaults, and gang rivalries, particularly in areas like Handsworth and Lozells, have created no-go zones after dark, where tensions flare fast and unpredictably. But it's not just gangs. Knife crime has surged among teenagers, sparking fears about safety in schools and public spaces. Police have ramped up stop-and-search tactics, and community groups are pushing for youth centres and mental health support. But resources are stretched thin. Property crime is another major concern. Car thefts, burglaries and shoplifting are all reported at above-average levels. And in high-density neighbourhoods, antisocial behaviour, from loud disturbances to intimidation, remains an everyday stress for many residents. What's especially challenging is the sheer scale of it all. Birmingham's size amplifies everything. Problems and solutions alike. Policing a city this large requires serious coordination, and even small oversights can snowball. There's also the cultural complexity. With over 180 nationalities represented, tensions can occasionally arise, not from diversity itself, but from the inequality and segregation that sometimes follow. That dynamic plays out in policing, housing, education, and of course crime. Still, Birmingham's story isn't all bleak. The city's leaders are investing in urban regeneration, from revitalizing the bull ring to supporting tech startups. There's hope, and it's real. But safety remains a top concern, especially in inner-city wards where opportunity still hasn't caught up with ambition. Birmingham's problems are big, but so is the fight to solve them. Number 6. Manchester. Manchester is no stranger to the spotlight. Known for its music, football, and iconic, it's also a city facing deep-rooted challenges when it comes to crime. At number 6 on our list, Manchester's crime rate continues to raise alarms, particularly around burglary, violent assaults, and firearm incidents. In Greater Manchester, violent crime has seen a steady increase over the past decade. Areas like Moss Side and Cheetham Hill are well known locally for gang activity, and firearm seizures in these neighbourhoods aren't uncommon. Greater Manchester police often report gun-related offences that rival those of much larger cities, a statistic that regularly surprises outsiders. Burglary is another major issue. Manchester has one of the highest rates of home break-ins in the UK. The city's dense housing, student populations, and busy nightlife contribute to frequent property crime. For many residents, locking the doors isn't just routine, it's essential. Yet Manchester is also a city of resilience. In response to rising crime, several neighbourhoods have come together through grassroots efforts. Youth intervention programmes, community patrols, and violence interruption teams have begun making slow but promising progress. However, the cracks still show. Police staffing shortages, social inequality, and lingering post-pandemic economic stress have kept pressure on the system. Some residents feel ignored, others frustrated by the cycle of crime that keeps repeating. Even public transport isn't exempt. Reports of assaults, thefts, and harassment on trams and buses are growing. It's become clear that tackling Manchester's crime problem requires a whole-city approach, one that includes policing, education, housing, and social services. Manchester's story is one of extremes: innovation and opportunity on one side, danger on the other. The energy that built this city into a powerhouse is still here, but it's often locked in a tug-of-war between progress and survival. That tension earns Manchester its place in the top 10 and reminds us how fragile urban safety can be, even in a city full of pride and power. Number 5. Leeds. Leeds, the unofficial capital of West Yorkshire, often sells itself as a city of opportunity, booming with finance, education, and tech. But behind its modern skyline lies a growing problem with crime that pushes it into the 5th spot on our list. The statistics are hard to ignore. Leeds consistently reports high levels of violent crime, especially assaults and public disorder. What's more, the city sees a staggering number of drug offences and weapon-related, particularly in and around neighbourhoods like Hare Hills, Holbeck, and parts of Bermontofts. One unusual contributor: the student population. With several universities drawing in tens of thousands of young people, the nightlife is intense, and with it comes alcohol-related violence, theft, and vandalism. Leeds city centre, while lively, often becomes a magnet for trouble after dark. Then there's Holbeck, the site of the UK's first managed red light district. While intended to increase safety for sex workers and residents alike, the area has become controversial, with residents complaining of crime spillover and unsafe conditions. Police presence has increased, but tensions remain high. Property crimes also weigh heavily on the stats. Car theft, home burglaries, and street muggings are frequent enough to raise concern across multiple postcode areas. And with rising living costs and strained local services, the situation risks tipping further out of balance. In seemingly quieter suburbs, many residents share stories of bikes stolen from gardens, catalytic converters stripped in broad daylight, or packages vanishing from doorsteps. The sense of security is fragile. Still, Leeds is fighting back. Local councils and community groups are investing in neighbourhood cleanups, youth outreach, and stronger public safety campaigns. But it's clear that for many, fear of crime is still a part of everyday life. That mix of energy, chaos, and tension gives Leeds a complex reputation. Vibrant, yes, but also vulnerable. Number 4. Liverpool. Liverpool is a city that wears its heart on its sleeve, famous for the Beatles, football, and a fierce sense of identity. But it's also no stranger to crime. Ranked 4th on our list, Liverpool's reputation for gang violence and organised crime is well earned and deeply rooted. It's been known as a hub for drug trafficking and criminal networks. Merseyside police have spent decades battling groups involved in everything, from firearms to large-scale drug importation. Names like the Scouse cartel have become infamous, not just locally, but across Europe. One major concern is how normalized some forms of crime have become. In some neighborhoods, like Anfield, Everton, and parts of Toxteth, residents regularly deal with antisocial behavior, burglaries, and street-level drug activity. Gun crime in Liverpool remains among the highest in the UK, a shocking fact for a city of its size. But organised crime here doesn't operate in shadows. It can feel integrated into daily life. Taxing, a slang term for extortion, intimidation and turf disputes spill into ordinary residents, affecting even those not directly involved. Even children are being pulled into criminal activity through so-called county lines networks. Vulnerable young people are groomed to transport drugs across the country, often under threat of violence. For many families, the fear isn't just theoretical, it's present and it's personal. And yet, the city pulses with community spirit. Grassroots initiatives, youth mentorship programs, and neighborhood watches are trying to turn the tide. Still, with deep social divisions, poverty, and housing inequality at play, Liverpool's battle against crime is far from over. This isn't a case of isolated bad actors. The system, the history, and the geography all play a part. And while progress is being made, the scars are visible, and in many areas still bleeding. Liverpool's energy is undeniable, but that makes its crime issue so complex and difficult to untangle. Number 3. London. London, the beating heart of the UK, an international powerhouse and home to over 9 million people. It's a city of unmatched diversity, ambition and culture. But it's also a city grappling with a serious crime problem that's as sprawling as its skyline. It might surprise you that London isn't number 1. After all, it has the highest total volume of reported crimes in the country. But when adjusted per capita, other cities rank higher. Still, the scale and variety of crime in the capital are staggering. Knife crime continues to dominate headlines. Teenagers losing their lives in senseless attacks has become all too common. Boroughs like Lambeth, Suffolk and Hackney see disproportionate levels of violence tied to postcode wars and gang retaliation. Then there's theft. Mobile phones snatched on mopeds, pickpockets working the tube, high-end shoplifters targeting luxury districts like Knightsbridge. Cybercrime and fraud are also rampant, targeting both individuals and small businesses. London's size and complexity make it especially hard to police. The Metropolitan Police face ongoing staffing challenges, public scrutiny, and a growing sense of distrust from communities affected by both crime and aggressive policing tactics. Transport hubs like King's Cross and Victoria have become crime hotspots, as have nightlife zones in Soho and Camden. The nightlife that draws so many also creates a stage for assault, drink spiking, and public disorder. Even during the day, many Londoners report feeling on guard, checking over their shoulder, clutching their phones tighter, avoiding certain areas after dark. For tourists, it's often invisible, routine. And yet, for all its problems, London remains magnetic. It offers opportunities few other cities can, but that comes with risks. Crime in the capital is constant, evolving, and sometimes shockingly close to home. It's not the most dangerous city per capita, but it might just be the most complicated. Number 2. Bradford. Bradford often flies under the radar in conversations about crime, but the numbers tell a different story. Per capita, it's consistently one of the most dangerous cities in the UK. Sitting at number 2 on our list, Bradford's crime landscape is shaped by a unique mix of economic struggle, community division, and social unrest. Statistically, violent crime in Bradford is alarming. Assaults, harassment, and domestic incidents are reported far more frequently than the national average. In areas like Nottingham and Little Horton, residents have grown used to the sight of police tape and patrol cars. Part of the challenge is poverty. Bradford ranks among the most deprived local authorities in England. Unemployment, low education levels, and poor housing conditions contribute to a cycle that's hard to break. When resources are thin, tensions run high, and crime thrives in the gaps. Youth crime is also a significant issue. Knife-related incidents among teenagers have been on the rise, echoing national trends but with local intensity. Community leaders have voiced concerns about gang recruitment, especially among young men with limited options and growing frustration. Cultural tensions can't be ignored either. Bradford has seen its share of division and unrest in the past. Progress has been made, the scars still affect relationships between communities and law enforcement. There's also a growing concern around drug-related crime. Reports of cuckooing, where criminals take over the homes of vulnerable residents to deal drugs, are rising. These hidden crimes wreak havoc on victims, leaving both physical and psychological damage behind. Despite the dark stats, there's fight in Bradford. Local charities and youth organisations are stepping up, providing mentorship, skills training, and safe spaces. But change is slow, and for now, Bradford remains high on the list, not just for its crime rate, but for the deep-rooted challenges behind it. It's not just a crime problem, it's a reflection of broader societal fractures, ones that need more than policing to heal. Number 1, Blackpool. Topping the list as the UK's city with the highest crime rate per capita is a place many associate amusement parks and neon lights, Blackpool. But behind the retro charm and tourist nostalgia lies a reality that's far more complex and troubling. Blackpool has long been a symbol of faded glory. Once a top-tier holiday destination, the town has struggled with decades of economic decline. As tourism dwindled, so did job opportunities, leading to widespread poverty, addiction, and ultimately crime. Statistically, Blackpool has one of the highest rates of drug-related offences, domestic violence, and antisocial behaviour in the entire UK. Certain wards like Claremont and Bloomfield record levels of deprivation and crime rarely seen outside major cities. One of the biggest problems? Transients. Blackpool has one of the UK's highest rates of temporary housing and benefits claimants. Many arrive hoping for a fresh start, but without work or support, they fall into cycles of substance abuse, exploitation, and petty crime. The town is also hidden homelessness. People living in overcrowded bedsits or unregulated housing are easy targets for predatory landlords, drug dealers, and criminals. The police are overwhelmed, social services underfunded, and the support network strained to breaking point. Mental health also plays a massive role. Blackpool has some of the highest rates of depression and anxiety in the UK, and when services are stretched thin, many suffer in silence until the situation explodes. Yet despite the grim data, locals are fiercely proud. There are efforts to regenerate the promenade, improve schools, and offer real alternatives to young people. But progress is hard when crime feels embedded into the very fabric of daily life. Blackpool's place at number 1 isn't about a single statistic. It's about a perfect storm of poverty, instability, and neglect. It's a warning, really, of what happens when a town is left behind. What do you think? Is the UK still worth the move in 2025? Or are the red flags too real to ignore? Drop your take in the comments. Even one sentence helps us build this global conversation. If you found this eye-opening, check out our last video. It dives even deeper into the realities of moving abroad. And hey, we pour a lot into making these videos for you, so if you want to support us, It's one click, but it means the world to us.